This podcast is part of the No Phony Podcast Network, the home of independent awesomeness.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Road with Jim and Casey. Joining me, as always, James Morganti.
That's rad.
Joining us today is publicist Steve Joyner. How you doing, man?
Excuse me, I'm well. Well, how you guys doing?
Very good. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Oh, God. Well, first of all, it's great to be on the show with you guys. I'm a big fan. So,
Thank you.
What do I do? God, I had a very, very interesting upbringing. I grew up in Southern California, and I had done some acting when I was a kid, mostly extra work and stuff. And the world was a lot smaller back then, so you'd meet people and you'd develop friendships and so on. And then years went by, and I reconnected with certain folks that I had worked with in the past. And about 5 years ago, one of my best friends is a man named Carl Gottlieb. He was a screenwriter who wrote the movie Jaws. Another friend of mine, Joe Alves, was a production designer. And I had been working with them at an autograph show. I booked some of the older talent I know. I booked them at autograph shows, and a Facebook friend of mine in Boston reached out to me, and he wanted to interview them on a podcast. And I didn't know what the hell a podcast was or care about them, to be honest with you, at the time. So I set it up, and then from that first meeting to today, I now work with over 300 shows, including you and Jim, and I put people from yesteryear and tomorrow on shows. And it's fun, it's rewarding, it's great to see content going out there, and especially now when the world needs entertainment stuff, it's really cool to see shows, for everything to go on, basically. So that's what I do. I've worked with everybody from psychics to people who've won Academy Awards, believe it or not. So it's been a weird road. Yeah.
So, Steve, you said you're coming from Missouri right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Los Angeles.
LA. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what are you doing out in Missouri? Just like on the road, getting around.
No. There's a friend of mine who I grew up with, and he was in the Marine Corps. And when he got out of the Marines, he settled in Kansas City, and he married a woman, had some great kids and all that. And I came here about 3 years ago for the wedding. And back in March, I've been here since March 21st. My wife was telling me, like, well, the boys are out of school now, and I have two stepboys that are 16 and 17, and they can be, a handful. And she's all, if you want to go see your friend, because I was going to come here in May anyway, she said you can go, because she knew that it would get to me. So I just come out here to get out of the city, and this quarantine thing happened. But it's just a thing. It's just a place I come visit every now and then. I'm heading back out there soon.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So what were you into? What did you do before you got into like getting newly into podcasting? What did you do before this? In knowing all these people that you've brought to us and other podcasts. Which, by the way, Jack O'Halloran, amazing, love the
Like
guy.
him, yeah, he's a great guy.
I'm gonna call him one day and hang out and get some coffee.
You should, yeah. What I do before this?
Yeah.
God, man, I was in a plumbing union for a couple of years. I was going to be a journeyman plumber and make $1 million. That didn't happen. And then after that, I not much, not much. I took care of both my parents, my dad. I've lost a lot of my loved ones. I'm like the last one of my immediate family alive. My brother just died in January this year, but I took care of my father, and then I took care of my mom when she died in 2013. So I don't really have an extensive career or anything, but no, honestly, I know it sounds boring as hell, but not much. And the acting thing. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you're a monster networker, networker, and just getting people around on the shows. I mean, like, especially right now, it's like perfect, being someone that just joins people together, talking about how to be imprisoned forever until the government finally lets us be free again, hopefully on
Whenever
independent.
that will be, yeah. Well, it's I believe in artistic freedom and artistic integrity. And what you guys are doing was unheard of when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we had just terrestrial radio and podcasts. They didn't exist. Now through technology, we can look at each other and do a show like this. Um, and it's cool. You create your own content and really put it out there. I'm a firm believer that any show, just like you guys, could be as big as Rogan one day. You know, I mean, he
Now,
just. Mhm.
now when you get guests on our show,
Yep.
or whoever's, let's just say whatever, let's just say there's a show, hypothetically, they like talking about flat Earth, biblical conspiracies,
Yeah.
pounds of women sometimes,
Mhm.
chicks, how to DM girls on Instagram, hypothetical podcast. Do you get people that are like that, like kind of like, do you match them, or are you just like, oh, Jack would be good here, this guy would be good there, he likes talking about this, or is it more like what's your process of just like getting people on shows?
That's a good question. It depends. I like to take sometimes the most obscure people and throw them in an arena that's totally out of their elements and totally foreign to them, and try to find the similarities instead of the differences.
Like our
So,
show.
like your show, yeah. And the thing is it's, I mean, so there's certain people I could never send to certain shows. Um, there was a guy in North Dakota a few years ago I used to send people to, about 2 years ago, and I had to be very careful because this guy hated profanity real bad. And at the time, I had a client in New Jersey who was a stand-up comedian, and he was just like, an Andrew Dice Clay guy. So I could definitely never send him. But I try to take people like Jack. You guys liked interviewing Jack, who is a dear friend of mine. And you think, well, he's a lot older than us. I mean, he's old enough to be our father and stuff. But but I saw the interview with you guys and him, and he's a very universal type dude. And you don't look at the differences; you look at the similarities. And after you interviewed a guy like him, from here on out, the next time you guys ever watch, you and Jim ever watch Superman again, you'll be like, I interviewed that dude. I know his real story. So it's kind of cool the connections you make. You'll never look at him the same way again.
Right. I feel like right now, I mean, I've always been this, like, the same person. As you know, like my mom taught me all the conspiracies, which they all came true. So they weren't conspiracies, it turns out.
Okay.
Well, like let's say like 95% of them did it.
Okay.
Excluding, okay, maybe Bigfoot hasn't been proven yet, but we'll get to that later.
I have a Bigfoot guy, just to let you know.
Bring him in.
I have an actor. He's 7 feet tall. He played Bigfoot in a movie recently, and he's a Bigfoot junkie. Go ahead.
Pat
Bring him in.
Jankowicz.
Pat Jankowicz, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so go ahead.
Been trying to contact or get a hold of him, get scheduled.
Just call his ass. He's around. Go ahead, Jim. What were you saying?
Yes, but like, do you feel like conspiracy right now? Not conspiracy. I mean, I call it truthers, because like we're like, we told you 20 years ago. The same people that were questioning Epstein 20 years ago, questioning Bill Gates right now. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything. I don't know, but it was the same people all along that were called crazy. But
yeah,
like, just from like our optics, like I'm online here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to break this down on a cellular level and see what our metrics are. And it's just like, hot women, beautiful, smart men, smart women, just everyone is like, you're on the right path. It's almost like talking about truther stuff that is that the mainstream stuff doesn't like at all and tries to censor, is like the new, like, oh, it's so hot right now. Remember in like Zoolander, he's so hot right now. It's like that's where everything's going. I don't understand why more people aren't like, oh yeah, well, did you talk about the flat Earth yet? Or what? I mean, I'm not a flat earther, but I feel like that's the new what's it called? Like zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. That's going to become up really soon. Just having fun with conspiracies and stuff.
My mom was a product of the '60s. She grew up in the '60s, and you guys interviewed Larry Hankin, right?
Yep.
Okay, Larry is definitely a product of the '60s, and Jim, Casey, history is basically made by people who went against the grain and didn't buy into what they form their own opinion and their own decision. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So Jim, never be unapologetic. I know you're really into conspiracies, but don't be apologetic for it ever. And if I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they tried selling us, years ago, and it turned out to be fallacies. Or like you guys all remember when AIDS was first blew up in this country.
Mhm.
Look what happened there. You know, but
Man-made.
there you go.
Yeah, and and I don't mind. Like, I mean, I was just having a wonderful Twitter debate.
Hmm.
Jokingly, I think maybe the other guy was angry. I don't know, because I have this uncanny ability to never get angry. I don't know why. I love everybody, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, you're wrong here, because I'm sorry, but you don't have the love of Jesus in your heart. Here we go. Here's Jesus.
But Jim, don't you think that you get angry in like other ways, like not so much like physically angry, but you get like don't I mean you get upset, right?
No, I'm known through all of these women. I mean, my ex-girlfriends. That I'm never angry. That's actually why I'm still friends with them. They're like, Jim, you're so wonderful. Maybe what I wasn't stable. I get it. I totally get it, and I get what they're saying. But my ability was never getting angry. And again, when I'm on, like, if I'm on Twitter and our friends from Politics with Dummies
Mhm.
they're just like, oh, I disagree with you, prove this. And then you start talking. Uh, Obviously, they're like, you're crazy and whatnot, which I don't care. I mean, like, I don't let things bother me. Um, Steve, I wanted to ask you, actually, would you think that, like, our podcast Twitter handles should be like saying, hey, Jim, you're right? Like, do you think, like, if we have like our On the Road, your podcast
Mhm.
Publicist, you might know this. If I'm like, guys, this is happening, should our Twitter or our podcast be like, should it be like, yeah, Jim, you're right, or should it be like, you're an idiot? You know,
It's up to them, Jim.
right?
Because
Just don't.
see Steve,
If you're happy with who you are, Jim, don't change and be a conformist. Because once you become a conformist, then you kind of sell out. You know.
Last
So
time I checked.
just keep doing what you're doing. Don't be a conformist. Don't be a sellout. And you're not gonna. Nobody's loved by everybody. And there's an old saying that a guy who's loved by everybody never stood up for anything. Al Capone said that actually. But the point is that you have to just be if you don't, who cares?
Right.
You're not going to please everybody. I learned that I'm not going to please everybody, and I've had people hate on me and whatever. So if you think a certain way and you're the only you and maybe two other people think that way, but you're convinced in your heart of hearts and everything else that that's the way it is, then just stick by your guns.
Case,
And
make a
you don't
note.
need to stick. Hmm.
Once here, yeah, I agree totally. Case, quick, make a note.
uh-huh.
Tell our crew that controls our Twitter podcast to start when I'm in a Twitter debate, kindly joking around with people, and they're calling me nuts and crazy and yelling at me, and I never get angry. Tell them, all the people that run our podcast on Twitter and on Instagram, to start being like, hey, here's the defense for him. You know what I mean? Maybe we should do that at some point.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe. Okay.
See, Steve, what he's getting at is he'll tweet something that
Hmm.
I completely disagree with, and he'll put it under the platform of On the Road with Jim and Casey. And I have
Uh-oh.
to make it a clear known fact that my views are not the same as his. But he wants me to say that they are.
No,
He's taking
no,
you down
Case.
with them. Okay.
Hang on a second, Steve. Here's where we're getting my personal Twitter is like, oh, by the way, did you guys know that AIDS was a man-made disease? And then
Yeah.
our main account, I'll tag our Twitter, our podcast. And then Casey over here will grab this account and be like, Jim is a stupid anti-American piece of garbage. and then I'll
Okay.
be here, and then I'll be like, maybe this should defend both of, it should go both ways. That was my explanation for it.
I'm not really good at couples therapy. You guys got to work this one out on your own. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. I don't want to say either or.
Steve,
I
let's
think
get
you should. Okay, go ahead.
let's get back to you. So did you were
Mhm.
you did you do any acting yourself at all?
Yeah, when I was a little kid.
Oh, really? You were a child
I
actor?
not no. I mean, yes, but not as big as like Scotty Schwartz or those
Uh-huh.
cats. I did an RC commercial in 1979. I was actually in a movie with Bill Cosby and Elliot Gould, believe it or not. It was called The Devil and Max Devlin. And it was a Disney movie. It was a Disney movie about a slumlord that goes to hell, and Bill Cosby is the devil's attorney, and he reconditions him to Earth. And I was one of the daycare kids in Adam Rich's mom's daycare.
Very,
I did. Hmm?
very interesting.
Yeah, it was a weird Disney film. Um, and just little things, a lot of plays. Saw an episode of Chips in the A-Team. That was cool. But back then they would just get kids of certain heights and hair colors and ethnicities and all that, and we were just like walking furniture. We were extras. So I had one line in the A-Team. It was like, BA, are we gonna, I told to Mr. T, I said, are we gonna be okay? It was an episode about a YMCA type rec center that was being destroyed by greedy developers, and Mr. T was the volunteer there, and I asked him, "Are we going to be okay?" He says, "Don't worry, little brother," and that was my line in the whole thing. So yeah, but it was cool because you work on those things, you get to meet people like that. So I didn't really like guys like Scotty just took it all the way, and they did really good. I wasn't that good, I just didn't follow it like them.
So how did you mentioned that one of your good friends was or is Carl Gottlieb,
Gottlieb,
the
yes.
writer of Jaws. How did that come about?
I'll send you his info if you guys ever want to have him on the program.
Yeah, I actually
Um,
called him, and I have to
you
wait a
called him?
month. Yeah, I called him. You gave me his info, and he
Okay,
said,
you called him. Okay. Oh
yeah, I
wow.
called
Okay.
him. He said
When
to
this happened?
oh, no, you know what? I'm thinking of Joe Alves.
Joe
I'm sorry.
Alves. You're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
Joe Alves. Yeah.
yep,
Okay. Well,
yeah. I
Carl
haven't
wrote
talked
a
to Carl yet.
Email Carl. Do you have his email address, right?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Carl wrote the screenplay. Eventually, his novel he turned into the movie, the screenplay. Joe's the guy that built the beast.
Yep.
How to become friends with him? It's a long story, but Jaws was one of my favorite movies and one of my brother's favorite films. And I made it a point in my life that I was going to meet them somehow, and it happened. I ended up working with them. That was cool too.
Nice.
So,
What was that? What did you work on him with?
oh shit, we did podcasts, we did screenings. I would book theaters and we do screenings. We did autograph shows, and then you become friends with people like that. And we hung out, and people ask me there's a lot of Jaws fanatics out there that just love that damn movie, and they take it like almost like Star Wars fandom and Star Trek fandom. And people ask me, like, when you're hanging out with them, do you talk Jaws? No, we don't talk Jaws because that's work, and he talks about other things he's into. One of the most intelligent guys I ever met in my life was Carl. Joe's amazing, man. I mean, he directed Jaws 3. He built the sets for Escape from New York, Close Encounters. I mean, he was Spielberg's right hand guy when it came to that. So yeah.
How did you come? I don't really know the specific. How did you come across our show, our podcast, to work with us? Which I'm grateful.
Casey sent me an email. He found me online, and he says, "There's this lunatic I work with." No. No, I don't. You know what? It was Casey, and Casey, what was it? I think I ran an ad in some podcasting group. And they're like,
Yeah, it was
hey,
like it was a Facebook group, and
yeah,
someone had posted about that they were looking to be guests or something on shows or something, and I said
could have been it.
we're always looking for guests, and you
Yeah,
reached out, and
that was probably. I think that was it. Yeah. I mean, I don't
that's
really remember. I
yeah,
don't. I mean, there's so many.
I'd say about 85% of our guests have been through you.
Well, great, and it's funny too because a lot of when I think it was it was a podcast group, and I'm not really a big fan of those podcast groups. In the end of the day, and I'll tell you why. I don't think that they help each other, put each other over. Like you and Jim, I want to put on other shows and vice versa. Like cross promote stuff. I think in the podcast group, they're just looking for follows, but they don't really invest so much time or energy into it. But yeah, every now and then I've said a thing like, hey, I'll send a guest to your show, and then when people answer me and I work with them, well, like I said, I mean, before you met me, you probably would never have met Jack or Larry or Scotty.
No.
So it all happens for a reason.
So you heard it here first. We're your favorite show. Thank you so much, Steve.
Oh, you guys are up there. I mean, you got the visual platform and you got the good sets, and you don't half-ass your show by any means. You're one of my favorites. Yeah, you guys are. I have big plans for you guys. Um, there are some shows that I know, I won't say who they are because they're still friends with them. But when you hear the audio, because it's just audio, it sounds like they're in a toilet on the moon. It just sounds horrible. And I think, pre-show prep, the whole 9 yards, you got to really take pride in what you're doing. You and Jim have a cool little set up. I mean, I feel weird just by a wall here. You guys got a cool setup. You have a good banter. I mean, shit, I mean, you have a quality show. You don't just do it on the fly. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah,
Steve,
although sorry, Jim, but although our show is fairly new, I've been at this for over 3.5 years, so I put a lot of pride into what I do. It's not That's why like our shows I don't record this and then it won't be out immediately. There's a lot of editing that goes into everything.
Of course.
Unlike Casey, I don't have pride because pride is a sin of the fallen one. I'm just here to speak something because I felt compelled that I had to do something that God wanted me to do. I got to talk and let things out and let truth out so people get that for free. But we also totally welcome your appreciation, your donations.
Well, you photograph well and all that. I mean, you got a cool setup, so just roll with what you got.
Yeah, we're trying to. This has been such a great ride. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Okay, what am I gonna go drive? Yeah, I could drive to Missouri and sit in front of a wall and talk to other people. You're not gonna do it. You can't. I lost my job in Austin, so I mean, Casey, I think still works according to what.
Well, Casey's back east, Jim. Where are you at?
I live 10 minutes from Casey.
Oh, okay, great. Well, there you go. That's perfect. I mean, you guys can keep this thing going, and it's going to be really good. There's some people I haven't even told you about yet that I want to put on your program.
Yeah, once this quarantine is over, we will have a studio space too, so we'll be quite different.
And then when you have the studio space, you could re-summons people. I don't know. And then when people like, let's say Jack goes back to your neck of the woods, have him in studio.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a cool thing. He lives in Redondo Beach. I haven't seen him in about, 8 months. But when you meet that dude in person, he's a big dude, man. His hands his mitts are big. He's a big man.
Judging by your picture with him, you're probably what, like 6 foot?
I'm 6'2", if that gives you any idea how big that guy is. He dwarfs.
So,
he had.
Good.
Well, he had I'm sure he talked about it on the program. He had a growth disease. Did he tell you about that?
Yeah.
And they corrected it. Had they not corrected it, he would have been like Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
But his bones are like 40 pounds heavier than everybody else's. And so when he was a boxer, it was like being hit by a damn shovel.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not want to get hit by him.
Hell no.
Except I want to get hit with a big load of truth information by him, though, for sure.
He gave it to you too, didn't he? Yeah, he gave it to you. I mean, he's you should have him back on and just do a Kennedy special alone.
Yeah. I mean, he had so much info, and I was and what a great guy too. I mean, and he knows my family because my family's we.
If you're Italian, he knows your family.
It was awesome. So see,
he probably knew your grandparents for all we know. I mean,
right? I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, look at the age. No, look at the age of the guy. I'm serious about this. And you're in the East. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. So before we wrap up here, I like to do, just a piece of advice, or I always say this, something that you could put in your pocket. My dad taught me this thing from Italy that it was just this saying, here's something to put in your pocket so you can pull it out later, that you have it to use in life. Okay. What's something that you could give to all our viewers, our beautiful, beautiful, hot, beautiful viewers,
Mhm.
that they can take it with themselves, put it in their pocket, and pull it out in an important time in their life. Like a piece of advice, how to make the best out of quarantine now, or something that you have that you could say to people to do to give them a.
I guess the main thing is that nothing really lasts forever, and this too shall pass. And I wish people. I know it's a bad deal right now with people unemployment. There's a lot of bad things, but start thinking about the future now. I mean, you guys are doing it right now. Start thinking about the future. That's my best advice. The future is going to be a lot brighter than the past and the current. It's all in how you make it. I mean, it's not the end of the world yet. We still got a few. We got a way to go. We have ways to go till then. It's not the end of the world. So I would say just keep your eyes on the future.
Be you, no matter what people call you. They can call you. They can make up stuff and just call you stuff and label you stuff. Be you and pursue the future, because you could be the new, like you could be the Jimi Hendrix of the future or whatever. At least you
Why
could be
not? Why not? I mean, you're kind of like an Abby Hoffman type guy, So, you know,
a who?
Abby Hoffman.
I don't know who that.
He was a dude look up Abby Hoffman. He was a guy in the '60s who wore an American flag shirt and used to like stand at the White House lawn and tell off Nixon from the. You're like Abby Hoffman, dude.
Well, no, I'm wearing this because I was at a Memorial Day party.
I know. I'm
Early.
just saying. Look up Abby. No, forget the shirt. I'm saying like the idealisms and all that.
Right.
I'll tell you a funny story before I go. If you want to hear, people ask me all the time my wildest stories, like what happened this and that with celebrities. I'll give you and Casey a choice. Do you want to hear my Gallagher story or my Wilford Brimley story?
I said Gallagher.
Yeah, let's go with Gallagher.
All right. So one of the first shows I worked with was in Long Island, New York. And there's a friend of mine named Bill Kirkenbauer who inadvertently got me in touch with Gallagher. And Gallagher was doing a show in Long Island, and after it took me about 3 weeks to put this all together, excuse me, I had arranged for Gallagher to go into a studio. And do you guys remember Meerkat?
No.
Meerkat was a streaming system they had where people could be live like us but ask questions. Anyway, I put Gallagher went in the studio, and there was these two guys. One of them was Italian, one was an Irish, and kind of stereotypical New Yorker dudes, really. And Gallagher goes in there. When Gallagher found out that it was going to be, viewed, that you could see and hear it, he lost his shit. He's like, "Oh my God, I got to smash some watermelons." And they're like, "No, you can't smash watermelons in here." Well, the guy he brought 3 watermelons with him, and they're like, "No, this effing guy can't be smashing produce in here. We make a mess," and so on and so forth. So I'm talking to the guy, and then I said, put him on the phone. I told Gallagher, I said, "Look, dude," I said, "I know you want to do this, but you're gonna make a mess." Like, "No, I've been doing it for almost 50 years, and they just lay some stuff down, plastic, it'll be fine." And so I told the guys, I'm like, "Look, he's not gonna let off, man. I mean, let him smash a watermelon, just lay some plastic down, and any messes." I said, "Any messes?" I said, "Will you pay for him?" He said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll take care of everything. I'll get this whole place clean." So they said, "No, we're not having it." So after a long, and this was like during commercial breaks too. So, and then they go back on the air. It's like, "Okay, so we're back with, that sort of thing." And I finally told the guys, I said, "What, he won't let off. Can he smash one watermelon?" They said, "All right, fine, one watermelon, and he's going to clean this effing place up." And they were pretty blunt about it. I said, "Okay." So I told Gallagher, I said, "All right, you smash one watermelon." "Oh no, man, I brought 3, man. I got to do 3. He's like, "No." And anyway, long story short, they said one watermelon. So okay, fine. This is the type of shit that I used to do when this was live, and I would have to deal with this stuff like live. So I go into a store, a Target, I think it was, and my phone's in my pocket, and I didn't think anything of it. 10 minutes later, phone rings. I pick it up. It's one of the hosts. "That mother, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to stretch him out. I'm going to kick his fucking." I mean, he's just going off. I'm like, "What the hell happened?" He's all, "That son of a bitch. It looks like someone took a big crap in the whole room." I'm like, "What?" Gallagher smashed a watermelon that was filled with chocolate syrup.
Oh my God.
and it looked absolutely it looked hilarious. There was chocolate everywhere, and he said you said I could smash one. I smashed one. So that was
So
my
does he?
Gallagher story.
So does he travel with watermelons with him like at all
He
times?
travels
Or
with
what?
melons. No, well his prop truck and all that, but apparently he knew he was going on a show, and he caught wind that he could that it was visual, so he brought in 3 melons, and one of them incidentally was filled with chocolate syrup. He hollowed the damn thing out and filled it with chocolate syrup, and it looked disgusting. It looked literally like it looked vile, and they are freaking out. So that was that.
Wow.
So I guess you didn't work with him anymore then? Or,
No, not that much. No, it was kind of going to be a one and done deal anyway, and it was one and done. But yeah, that was that. And then Wilford Brimley almost picked a fight with me and another celebrity one time. We were messing with him. But yeah, so it's a
Is he
fun. It's a hmm?
is Wilford Brimley the one on the diabetes commercials, right?
He's that old bastard. There's a comic named Eddie Veasan who was in Greece in the Polar Express, and I just posted a picture of him and I. We did a lot of work together, and we were at an autograph show in Los Angeles, and old man Brimley and Stephanie Powers were sitting across, kind of down the way a little bit. And Eddie's voice, he was Mandark in Dexter's Laboratory. Eddie's voice carries really bad. And he's all, Steve, is that the girl from The Man from Uncle? And I'm like, yeah, that's her. He said, okay. He said, time wasn't good on her, something like that, basically like he was calling her old.
Uh-huh.
I forgot how he worded it. She didn't hear us, but Brimley turns around and leans back and gives us this really cold look. I'm like, dude, he heard us. He's like, no. And he's like, the guy's like 100 years old. They're like, no, he heard us. Well, about 10 minutes later, telling the Brimley story, Wilford walks up and he says, I couldn't help but overhear you two about what you said about the young lady. And we're like, young, and he's all, you might want to rethink your position. I'm like, what do you mean? He's all, I was in the Navy, and we're like, man, Wilford's getting gangster on us. He's dropping his credits. We're like, well, okay. He's all, and he was like, it's like he wanted to fight us and shit. He was telling us what a badass he was. We're like, well, okay. See, here's the catch-22. We can't fight him because then we're known as that guy that beat up an old man. Or if we lose, we're known as those guys who got beat up by an old man. So it was a no-win scenario. But he was he's wearing his shorts and his shirt, and he had those. I mean, Brimley got gangster on us. Like, I was in Korea in the Navy. He was like, you telling us basically like, don't mess with him. And it was wild. So I've had those experiences that are a little bit Twilight Zone-y. When you interview Pat Jankowicz, he's got stories that are way better than mine about weird encounters with stuff. And the Bigfoot stuff, Jim will like him.
Nice.
Great. Hey, if you ever come out east, hit us up and
Absolutely.
we'll schedule somewhere to go sit in a car in a parking lot and go anywhere. Also, before you wrap, I see you're rocking a Fender shirt. All I play is Fenders, man. That's all.
Stratogaster, you got a Strat? What do you play?
I got 3 Strats. I got a Tele.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm on tour, I'll bring one of each.
Okay.
I don't do. I mean, I'm not like, it's not like big tour. It'll be like a week long or something like that. But like, I love Fenders, man. Favorite guitars, and the Tele for me is like the most versatile, honestly, for me.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty cool. And you're a chick magnet, so that just adds to it right there, So
Well, Steve, sometimes you just got to be yourself, and that's what women like the most. They don't like people that go with the grain. Like you said, you just got to be yourself, man.
well, it makes you interesting and a little bit different because I guess women are always looking for something different. And
They look for the spirit of a mind of a guy that's driven to pursue, in my mind, God's heart. In my opinion, a man after God's own heart. That's why Solomon and David had thousands of women surrounding. But
well, David got kind of jacked on his deal. But
well, Steve, we appreciate you doing
fellas.
this, man.
Yeah, thank you both.
We appreciate everything that you do for us, man.
You got it.
And tell everyone where they can find you and all that good stuff.
I'm on Facebook. I have another Facebook page called SJ Network. I got a website, SJ Network, and I'm out there. And people can follow On the Road with Jim and Casey. More shows and more great content coming out.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it, man.
You got it, Casey. All right, take care, you guys.
See you, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.